Right! Hello, everybody! Hello, Zarmegas, Luca, Mystery Theater, T, Apparition! Welcome back to Rose Guns Days! Last time, Lee Meiju just is firmly on our side as he got Zel back with the wandering dogs and explained everything, and everyone explained everything, and now they're going to stage a big heist to get Zel's father back! Yes! All together! They were all training with their guns where Rose did last time. Oh my god, it was so exciting. Let's do it. Let's go. Woo! Ooh, wait. Did I load the correct file? Wait. Yeah, I did. That's the newest one. Oh yeah, that's right, because it was right after our other conversation. Listen up, Charles. This is a dummy version of the key.
It's heavy? That's a creepy key.
It is nearly the same weight and size as the key in question.
A small but solid-seeming safe was set on the desk. Its design, which is more excessively ornamental than gorgeous, matched Wang's tastes well. Hello, Pro! Welcome to the stream. For the purposes of this plan, Meiju had obtained a safe and key that Wang had once used. Oh, they get to practice. The weight of the key, its size, and the shape of the keyhole were almost exactly the same. Oh, are they going to Indiana Jones it here? The key had some weight to it, and if it fell, it would surely make a loud sound.
So, this is what I've got to...
We can't get started without your magic fingers.
Charles played with a large key on his palm, like a magician making cards dance with his fingers. It spun around... Shouldn't it be spun? It spun around as he played with it skillfully, but it eventually caught on his finger and fell to the ground. Dang. That hopelessly loud thunk echoed throughout the underground room several times. It goes without saying that this metallic sound, particular to drop keys, carries well, even in a noisy place. Yes, Apparition, you could say the dummy key be dummy thick. Ah, jeez. On top of that, the real thing would happen in a luxury restaurant. If they dropped it, there was a 100% chance of them being noticed. In other words, 100% chance of death. Stealth mission failure.
That screw up just now would have killed us all.
It would have happened right after you grabbed the boss's key. You couldn't pass that off as a joke. If you can't do it, just say so. It was such an outrageous strategy from the beginning. I can't force you into such a ridiculous plan for my own father's sake.
Oh, God. Without speaking, Charles continued to play with the key. Then he stuck it into the key to test the feel. Stuck it into the keyhole, I'm guessing, to test the feel of turning it.
I'm not scared at all. As an alley rat pickpocket, death was always right beside me. Who would show mercy to a dirty pickpocketing brat?
Oh, this is in third person. Okay. They would just beat him and kick him until he died, then toss him in a garbage bin. And no one would stop them. Even if he was lucky enough to survive. If he had broken a bone, that would be enough to finish him. After that, he'd only be able to crawl along the earth, fish through garbage bin, and weaken until he died.
That's not what got me scared. If I screw up, my comrades will suffer. That's all.
If you did mess up, none of us would hate you for it. After all, if it weren't for those fingers of yours, we wouldn't have any hope in the first place.
Thanks, Zel.
The same goes for everyone too, and for me too. In other words, we're all in this together, one by one.
I see you're back to quoting Disney Channel stuff.
You bet I am. My life may not be too sweet before this, but my months with you was very sweet.
Oh, Zel, you're making me all teary.
We're comrades after all.
No, that's not it. We're family. So we can trust each other. You may have been uneasy when you thought about comrades suffering because of your mistakes. But you've never been afraid of a comrade's mistake killing you.
You're right. Now that you mention it, that's true. Well, screwing up and troubling everyone else is basically my role. I can't even imagine Oliver or Nina screwing up, much less you.
I'm the one who can't imagine you failing.
Charles scratched his head, acting embarrassed, but his expression had already grown calm.
In that case, let's talk about positioning.
Yes.
Oh no, they're gonna go over the plan? And we're gonna see them go over the plan? But if we see them go over the plan, that means it'll fuck up. Oh god. That's like a freaking law of the universe. Any plan that the viewer sees being planned out will inevitably fail. You gotta cut away. Oh fuck.
Yes. Your position is right there. In front of the table.
As Charles toyed with the key, he stood facing the table with the safe on it. That was in the corner of the room. Zel ran around to the corner diagonally opposite it. The underground room was fairly large, and the distance between the two corners was about 15 meters. Over there was a target as tall as her chest, covered in a blanket. Charles glanced over his shoulder at her position.
That's our target? Looks pretty far away.
Oui. This is the exact distance according to the plans.
Let's give it a shot. All right. Don't worry, Zel. We'll do this.
One moment he seemed to be playing with the keyhole, And an instant later, the key suddenly and silently shot backward from under Charles's armpit. What? He's literally throwing the key. It landed at Zel's feet, making a noisy sound. If it had landed on the cloth on the cloth on the target, it wouldn't have made a sound.
Just snatching it is no big deal. But this is a first for me. Throwing stuff as accurately as this.
We can make up for it if your aim is slightly off. But don't count on that.
I know. From here to there is my world. Well, put it off perfectly. Pull it off perfectly. Time to do this!
Once again, the thrown key landed on the floor far from the target.
If I gotta pick this up every time, it'll waste our training time. Could you get me a pile of stuff? Anything as long as it's the same weight and size.
Leave it to me. I will bring you a mountain. So, think you can pull it off?
It had to be done with minimal movement, and in an instant and accurately. On top of that, he had to throw it at the target with his back almost completely turned.
This is getting interesting. Let's do it. Training montage for key throwing. Here we go, gonna throw some keys using fighting CGs.
Niju-sama, I don't understand what sort of special training this is. I could understand pickpocketing a key, but throwing it? You'll understand eventually, but it certainly is outrageous.
Ooh, I got a new emblem, a soccer emblem. Yeah, the wandering dogs. Woo! Nina was in a Chinatown back alley. Right now it's my training montage time. She'd apparently just had her slingshot band replaced with something more powerful. Nina pulled on it repeatedly, getting her hands accustomed to it. Now this thing's got power! And it's sturdy too.
I made it specially according to your request.
That also means I'll need more power to handle it. When I pull it back with all my strength, my arms start shaking. Nina, how's your new slingshot? Oh, she's a fighter, but wait breaking in! Zel appeared on the roof of his storehouse. She was holding a bag filled with empty cans. She lined those cans up on the edge of the roof. Just probably could use them as targets for Nina's slingshot. By the way, there was a river ditch behind the storehouse. Missed shots wouldn't bother anyone. I know you've got perfect aim, Nina. Maybe you should do, Charles's part. Still, try and see if you can do it with that slingshot, which needs more power. Here it comes. Let's do this! Now it's my training montage. Oh god, I better get this right or I'll look like a freaking idiot. Here we go. My booby CG. Coming forward to kick your ass. Time for Nina to shine. Here we go. Nina's skill was as impressive as ever. With a faint sound, empty cans were knocked over one after another. Yes, I did it! However, she suddenly missed a tug. Oh, fucking hell! After that, she couldn't hit them at all anymore. And eventually she was left panting, unable to even pull back the band. This takes power. My arms are shaking. Apparently, pulling back the strong man required a significant application of force. Nina's thin arms were screaming and shaking. Think it'll be tough? Oh god. This is not looking well so far. We need a lot more power doing the real thing. If you can't do it, just say so. You just have to think of a different plan. You're kidding. I know how hard you worked to iron this plan out. There could be no other plan. She could tell this was the only plan the wandering dogs could use to attack the GDS VIP's castle. Hello, Guppy Force. Welcome to the stream. Just need to get used to it a bit. I still got lots left in me, so bring on the training! With a bold smile on her now sweating face, Nina fired off another shot. However, the shot went entirely the wrong direction. Oh, for fuck's sake! Shortly, Charles is throwing the key just right every single time. Well, not exactement. Really? Oh god, we're all gonna fucking die. I mean, no, it'll go great. Let's take a quick break and get used to it with a slightly closer target. You're joking! If I'd make that mistake during the real thing, we'd be dead! It'd be better to die from someone else's mistake, so I could say, why'd you screw that up, dumbass? And then in the next world. Even if we end up dead. I couldn't bear to be the one who screwed up and took everyone else with me. I can't let something like this get me down. I'd be too embarrassed to face the other two. Time to pull myself together and give it another go. Training montage! Nina's passionate flames burned away the inaptitude of the fatigue that had stopped her arm. Electric acid built up, be damned! After she wiped up the sweat away, you could certainly see the blazing flames within her eyes. Right now, her physical strength was less than Charles or Oliver's, but when she had been young, boys had been no threat to her. She'd been a fearless, peerless brat girl general, leading the brats in her community. A brat general like that wouldn't work as a lady of the evening, not just because she was a woman. This right here, the trial she was going through right now, or what she wanted more than anything. That's enough challenging my spirits! Zel, line up a bunch more empty cans. I'll keep moving forward. Time for Nanagi Nina to show her guts! Training montage, take 2! You watch, Zel. I ain't gonna screw this up. Not now, not ever. I'll keep working hard. God damn it. I hate it when it goes in all 4 corners like that. It's impossible to hit properly. KO, motherfucker! The battle between Nina and the empty can cell set up on the roof continued on and on.
My, how dexterous. Your dexterity stat certainly is high. So even a child's toy can become a fearsome weapon when perfected.
I see. It's an exercise that increases their burden by putting the target in a high place.
No matter how powerfully she pulled back the ban, it could never become a replacement for a handgun. However, she used that power to throw grenades. This might make for a powerfully yet accurate grenade launcher. Hey, you hear that? I'm a grenadier.
I see. So that's what this is.
Grenades are heavy and their area of damage is significant. Unless they're thrown with significant force, they can be dangerous to the user. With his powerful slingshot and his powerful band, something like that might be possible. However, after seeing the key pickpocketing practice Charles had been doing, it didn't add up. Weren't they focusing on doing this secretly, since they had no chance of winning if they were discovered? But seeing Nina's full-power training, this is trying to look at the strategy relying on over-the-top force.
I don't understand, Nichu-sama. Just what on earth are they planning?
Oh, that's a secret, but it certainly is outrageous. You should think it through yourself.
No.
Xiaolan folded her arms and puffed out her cheeks, looking displeased. Just what was this plan, which even made you call it outrageous? Okay, so we don't know the plan. That's good. So that means it'll likely succeed. That building containing the luxury restaurant was truly Wang's castle. Of course, Wang's subordinates were all veterans. Rugged men had survived the vicious fighting against the Kwantung army. The legendary Leo Shishigami may have managed something, but these weren't opponents who could be opposed by a few boys and girls who'd never held guns before. Their only option was to carefully hide their presences and clean things up without raising a ruckus. As she watched the cans go flying one after another with small, satisfying sounds, Xiaolan cocked her head inquisitively. It's a very short chapter. It was night, after the people had fallen asleep. Vehicles of a different sort than you usually see during the day raced down the street. It was a series of trucks, distribution trucks. Several of them raced down the streets which had grown quiet, packed with goods. This was truly distribution. This is how the massive quantities of materials that supported the huge metropolis of Tokyo were transported. This was hardly unusual in Chinatown. But tonight there were more trucks going in and out than usual. Cargo was being packed into a massive storehouse. Back when Wang had purchased enough fake soy sauce to overwhelm Rose's real soy sauce, there had been an incredible amount of cargo, but this was even more. It truly was violence in distribution, in quantity and numbers, that would overwhelm City 23.
There's so much. This is the scale of thing we're dealing with Chinatown.
Incredible!
Dozens of Japanese businessmen were observing this violence in numbers. Claudia was among them. That hard worker was a member of the Japanese Shop Association. Apparently that was why she had received an invitation to this. Damn, now Wang is going full Disney villain here. As they watched the overwhelming amount of materials go by, Wang slowly turned to face them and spread his arms.
It isn't that surprising, is it? Haven't you ever looked at a world map? China is 25 times the size of Japan. Well, of course, I'm aware that not all the Japanese receive higher education. Comparing different areas might be difficult for you.
He was clearly mocking them. Yeah, I was gonna say Cut Before is only 25. You'd think it'd be more. Yeah, I didn't realize Japan was that big. Because Japan is a very small island. It's smaller than the state of California. It's like half, I think like half the land area or something. He was clearly mocking them. However, the businessmen were still stunned and overwhelmed by the incredible amount of goods.
Pre-war Japan didn't have any world maps.
I thought that was him saying that. Pre-war Japan didn't have any world maps. It was a joke that was believed fairly often at the time. Otherwise, wouldn't it be unthinkable for Japan to declare war on America when there was still no end in sight for its war in China?
Still, even if you don't understand the numbers, I'm sure you understand what you see. Your national power is hardly anything to be commented on when compared to a large country.
We can't win. Japan can't win against foreign countries.
So close. If only you understood that before the war. But it still isn't too late. If you now understand that Japan has neighbors who are far superior to it, then you're welcome to join the cosmopolitan world.
We understand what you're trying to say. You'll overwhelm everything with your quantity and prices. The end. That's all there is to it. What's the point in telling that to us at this point when we're like candles about to burn out?
Chinese merchants are the best in the world. Do you know why that is? It's because they can interact closely with societies from all over the world, blending in. You see, we're fellow merchants, so we ought to be getting along. However, because Rosai Bora forced her anachronistic countrymen first beliefs on you, everything's gotten messed up. Until just a few years ago, we were able to get along fine, right? I know some of you are dealings with Chinatown. When Tokyo transformed to scorched earth, we joined hands, distributed necessities to the city folk, and revived the city, did we not? At the time, I believe we had a friendship that surpassed the borders of race and nationality. However, Rose took all of that away. Her dictatorship in the name of country first stole the free market rights that all you were supposed to have. Are you really okay with that? Aren't merchants the greatest realists of this era? China, America, Japan. All three countries are mixed together in this new Tokyo. That's the reality of New Japan that's coming. All Rosai did was gain some temporary support by playing to patriotic feelings of the Japanese, who were grief-stricken from losing the war. She used the excuse of countrymen first to deny reality, tried to turn back the clock to pre-war days. But we merchants know. Those who go against the flow of time will always meet with destruction. Can't we stop playing along with the anachronistic illusion of the idealistic girl called Rose Ibarra?
When he called Rose a girl, the businessmen all felt as though their hearts had stopped for an instant. In the Japanese sections of City 23, she had been almost deified. Even without going that far, there had been an unspoken rule that those that disagreed with her ideals were unpatriotic. For the first time, they were made conscious of the fact.
We don't think of Japan as a part of China. It's a new land in which lives a new people and new friends. Nothing excites us more than being able to start doing business there. That's why we want to understand the supply and demand of this new land. To make new friends and start new businesses. Please take another look. See this mountain of goods? No, this castle of goods.
It wasn't just soy sauce. Miso, mirin, katsuboshi, niboshi, kombu, wasabi, and more and more and more. Every Japanese person would gulp at those scents. It was a stack of countless good old Japanese ingredients and flavorings. Of course, just like the soy sauce, it would be pretty hard to argue that they weren't inferior. Hello, Princess of Balance, welcome to the stream. However, now that the city folk had in fact accepted bad fake soy sauce, it was pretty clear that they would accept this without trouble. The city folk didn't care about details when it came to taste. They were only interested in what was cheap. And this soy sauce fever was making people hope for other things. Those many fondly remembered ingredients, which might be called the Japanese soul itself, surely meet with great demand among the Japanese. The real thing would be scarce and expensive. I'm so sorry that you haven't been sleeping well. Not something that could be sold to the poor. However, since these were cheap and low quality, they were within reach and could sell explosively.
We are considering shipping these to all of Tokyo with City 23 to start. Normally we would earn more by selling it directly. However, wealth is made to be shared. So, I want to share the profit from this pile of good old Japanese ingredients with my new friends.
But if we join with you, we'll have Primavera on our case. When soy sauce started selling, rumor has it President Tokata joined with you. Primavera really roughed him up.
Oh, that was quite a surprise for us as well. However, we did protect the president, you see. President Tokata is my friend. I, and Chinatown as well, will never allow anyone to harm our friends. Also, that rumor about how the president was caught by Primavera and got taught a lesson. That's a rumor Primavera started, you know?
Huh? Then it's fake?
I did protect him. Protected him from Primavera.
I said that if they harmed him,
the GDS would pay them back in full.
That's why the president is alive, argued Wang. They were vaguely aware that betraying the Mafia meant nothing but a death sentence. Yeah, definitely. Mystery Theater. He's just trying to get a foothold, but they can't afford the big ingredients. It certainly was conceivable that the president had avoided death because the GDS had protected him. However, the story wouldn't work for Primavera if it was known that they let him escape because of GDS threats. So in exchange for letting him go, they all agreed to act as though they threatened him. Of course, Wang had made all this up. But GDS had never applied pressure in that way. However, it made sense to the businessmen. They nodded to each other, saying, "Yes, yes, that's right."
President Tokata is still in good health and doing his job, isn't he? Was he missing a finger? Did something terrible happen to someone in his family? Nothing did, right?
Rose would never do something so cruel.
No, it's not. It's because I protected him. That's why he wasn't executed. See, I do protect my friends. But, I still understand how you all feel. I understand you're afraid Primavera will do something terrible if you become my friends. So let me make you all a promise. No, not a promise. A prediction, maybe? A prediction? Rose Ibarra will retire before too long.
He's kind of right, actually, considering that. Doesn't she, retire within a year?
When that happens, Primavera will collapse. Those people who say strange and anachronistic things will disappear soon.
How could you possibly?
It's a prediction. Just a prediction. The problem is what happens next. If Primavera collapses, the swarm of thugs that remains will scatter and swagger throughout the city again. It'll go back to the Caleb era, where violence was rampant throughout City 23. This part isn't a prediction. It's a promise. I promise that my GDS friends and I will protect you in a way that prevents all of those thugs from laying a hand on you. By that time, the marketplace will be filled with all sorts of products, thanks to a massive supply. All of my friends will deal in large quantities of those products, becoming so prosperous that they won't have time to rest. And on top of that, the thugs expelled from Primavera will be too afraid of GDS stores to lay a hand on them. In that case, what will happen to those who don't become my friends?
Did they take speech lessons from Maria here? Or something serious?
They won't be able to get goods. They won't be able to compete on price. And on top of that, they'll be found by thugs who have nowhere else to go. and have every last drop of blood squeezed out of them.
The businessmen let out groans that were almost sobs, losing their composure. They couldn't think of a reason to reject Wang's offer.
Wang-sama, no.
You don't need to say it. Oh, you don't need to say anything right now. I respect time above all else. I understand its value more than anyone else. So I want to give all of you some of that most precious thing. Time. I want to think carefully about whose friend you should be. And when Madame Rose descends from her throne, I'd like her to give me her answer. Well, that's that. See you next time.
Since Wang was a merchant himself, he knew merchants well. All peoples are countrymen first by default. They're naturally built to exclude foreigners. Wrenching aside those barriers and pushing inside was the first step towards bringing business to a new country. To do that, you just first need to find the type of business among those where patriotism is weakest and stick to them. And the most convenient targets for that were merchants in the realm of capitalism.
Ooh, what's wrong with joining forces with Chinatown? Nothing at all. Nothing at all. In the first place, it's easier to get stuff from the Chinese. Ever since Madame Rose had to buy stuff from our countrymen, we just gone with the flow. In the end, it was probably done to profit businessman Madame Rose knows personally.
Rose wouldn't do something like that.
Rivera's just spouting nice sounding words. She's probably just controlling us to turn money her way and make a killing.
How dare you! That's unbelievably outrageous!
Well, Kurosaki-san, regardless of whether it's just nice sounding words or not, I think Madame Rose's ideals are commendable. Because of the times we live in, fellow countrymen should help each other out. I think that sounds splendid.
I would have no idea, Princess of Balance. I never took a business class.
But we're merchants. We have to be more clear-headed than anyone else. Like Wang-san said, Madame Rose's ideals are anachronistic. She's turning the pre-war period into an ideal and turning her eyes from reality.
How can you say that? Rose can see reality, see the future better than anyone else.
There's nothing wrong with having people talk about their ideals. We need people like that. I understand that. However, we merchants protect the lifestyles of our countrymen, and as such we must look at reality clear-headedly and make rational decisions. That's how it is. Face reality, Miss Kurosaki.
People.
They can't measure anything except money. They call it calm rationalism, but that's ridiculous.
that's why they could easily sell their country if money was piled in front of them. They can't see the value in things that are priceless. And the main point is their conceit. The idea that they're more intellectual than anyone else because of their so-called rational decisions for raising earnings. If money was piled in front of them, they would sell goods to an enemy nation, sell the secrets of their own country as much as they liked. I truly believe that they can continue doing the same business, even if all of City 23's distribution routes are held by foreigners. Oh, God damn it. Okay, so I didn't.
That's what they get for acting all intellectual, when the fools can't measure value with anything but money. Merchants are such chumps. Oh God, it's a good thing no one's recording this. Did you see that, guys? Did you see the stupid Japanese? Looked like they really thought it was their chance to make it big.
What fools? Whatever happens, they think they alone won't be affected.
Those morons would sell the keys to their wives' and daughters' bedrooms if they thought they could earn a little cash. There are thousands and thousands of fools like that around the world. We never run out of food. Too bad, Rose-chan. Looks like you were naive after all. You see, unless you tie stupid merchants like this up with money or sticks, they'll sell out their countrymen in a flash. Once I've gained control of all of City 23's business, I'll take everything these fools have. Oh, I can't wait to see the looks on their faces. If I could have a drink and gaze upon that while Rose-chan waits upon me, wouldn't that be just splendid? I just can't wait to see how these fools kneel and apologize to Rose-chan. Also, are you watching this, little May? This is how kings fight. Do you still have so little faith in me after this?
Ouch. Damn, Wang has gone full Disney villain now. Holy schnapps. He's very different from Caleb. He's like a master manipulator here.
Now time for my training montage. Time to brawl. I will do this for Zel.
Oh yeah, Meiju is a very good fighter. He's a definitely good person to train him. Meiju is like dead even with Leo. And we know how OP Leo is.
When you kick, you always do it haphazardly, simply relying on force.
Meiju straightforwardly pointed out Oliver's faults as a martial artist, but Oliver wasn't satisfied. Even Oliver was a lone wolf from alleys. A wolf who idolized Wayne. He could brag about surviving with nothing but his body. He couldn't bear to have his talent criticized.
We will hone it more. Your aim was half-hearted. One more time.
T, Even if he didn't understand what Xiaolan muttered in Chinese, it was easy for him to guess that she wasn't praising his kick. Xiaolan was saying thank you to Guppy Force. Your kick sucks. Oh my god.
You must refine it more. Reach your target as though hitting a needlepoint. Shut up! I kicked my own way. If you like those clever acrobatics, do them yourself. I've got my pride from living on my own in the alleys. You outsiders can go away. My. I do believe he hates me.
Oliver, Miju-san was kind enough to offer practice with you. Sulkily, Oliver wiped away his sweat and silently continued to kick by himself. Oliver would fill an extremely important and difficult role in the plan. His job was to secure the treasure room that Zel's father was being kept in. There would certainly be a single guard standing in front of the door. He had to take that one person down in a single shot without anyone hearing. If the opponent was facing the other way, it might be possible to strangle him, but he couldn't count on that. After all, this would be a guard in the treasure house, which held many of Wang's prized treasures. Even though as one person, he would probably be tense and waiting. Oliver couldn't count on him slacking off. It was necessary for him to knock the man out from the front with a single strike. It's true that handguns with silencers that can be used for assassinations exist in this world. However, they don't totally erase the sound of gunfire. Yeah, that's right. Silencers are actually not like in John Wick. They don't make a gun sound like a pea shooter going beep, beep, beep. They actually just make the sound like a bullet. It still sounds like a gun going off, but just not as ear-shatteringly loud. Like, I don't know if any of you have ever heard a gun going off in person. Like, my parents used to take me to, like, historical demonstrations of shit, like, and, like, cannons and old-timey guns and stuff like that are ridiculously loud. The silencer kind of makes them sound like how we think it would sound normally. But it's still, even in real life, things with silencers aren't like in video games. They are quite, it definitely sounds like a gunshot. And everyone in a room with something silenced, would absolutely hear it. However, they don't totally erase the sound of gunfire, yep. No matter how hard they try, they release gunfire more than 70 decibels loud. Oh, Ryukishi knew this too. If that rang through the open area that extended up to the 5th floor, it wouldn't at all be odd if someone noticed. Your best kick is a one-hit finisher. That's the only thing we can use.
I know. That's why I'm training hard and polishing my skills, isn't it?
But why aren't you listening when you're just getting instructions from Meiju-san? Really, Guppy Force? He did. Because I don't think any of the guns in Umineko had silencers. Zel finally remembered. Oliver had grown obedient lately. He started listening to what Zel said, but he hadn't used to be like that. He was once a blockhead who acted like a lone wolf and never listened to what anyone had to say. When Meiju, a person he didn't trust, criticized his prize kick, probably ticked him off at once.
I fight for my comrades in my own way. I won't take instructions from a Chinese man.
Damn, Oliver. Wow, jeez. Then if I say something, will you listen?
If it's about something other than my kick,
At any rate, he didn't seem willing to listen to any advice regarding fighting. However, after reflexively saying something harsh to Zel, Oliver also seemed uncomfortable. He pretended to ignore Zel and went back to pretending to kick. Damn. He's sorry for snapping at her. Okay. Then why don't we spar for a bit?
what? Spar with you?
He knew that, true enough, Zel was capable of moving with practiced motions. But even so, she was still a frail woman. They thought of Zel as their leader, not as someone whose role it was to fight.
You just get in the way. I can't get serious against you. You just get in the way. I can't get serious against you.
Look who's talking. Okay. I'll give you a good thrashing so you can get serious.
What are you talking about? Stop. You'll get hurt.
Now this will be a sight to see. We get to witness Ruby's combat skills. Zel slowly walked towards him. Her eyes were serious. She seriously intended to spar with Oliver. Oh wow, are we gonna have a flirty fight? Oliver hesitated at first, but then he put on an irritated face and readied himself.
I never intended to go easy or stop my attacks before hitting.
Same here. This will be the first time I've ever acted out in violence to do anything but protect myself or kill. Oh my god.
Interesting. Let's go get some good sparring in. Let's
get some good sparring in.
Here we go. Zel bowed in the manner of Japanese martial artists. Oliver hurriedly imitated her. However, the next moment, Zel's pinpoint accurate strike was right before Oliver's eyes. Oh, oops. God, I didn't realize that we're doing defense. Oh, God. Shit. Sorry, Zel. Damn! The game is not pulling any... It's barely letting me fucking click. I've heard that this difficulty is like reactive. Like if you get too good, it'll fuck you up. And like... And boy, that is what is happening now. God damn. Huh. You see, I am no slouch. Now it was time. Why is her hair all curl? Look at her hair. It's all like. That's a weird. Look at that outfit she's wearing. If he didn't go easy, Zel would be seriously injured. It took only an instant for that assumption to be shattered to pieces. Is that like the outfit she's gonna wear to the party? Are they all gonna get new outfits? That's gonna be amazing. He took an assault like a thunderstorm before he knew it, ended up spread-eagled on the floor with his arms bent. Holy shit. He made a frail effort to counter, but couldn't even bring it to a draw. Damn! She's actually the strongest one. There's like a freaking Dragon Ball Z shit here. Oliver had lost completely. Look. See my arm? It's thin. Alright? Not like a man's. Without taking special training over a long time, it couldn't display the same amount of force as a man's. That's why I aim for holes in the enemy's guard and vital areas. Even a woman's strength can be incredibly powerful.
Vital areas.
Even so, I wasn't able to defeat you instantly. So there's that. It took that many moves. That's why I can't do this. No matter how much more I train, I won't be able to take down a guard in an instant. Only you can do that. We only have a hope if we combine your power with the techniques needed to hit vital areas. I can't say father without relying on you, Oliver. But you won't even try to learn good form. What should I do? Ooh, she's disappointed in you, Oliver. Zel covered her face and ran away. Oliver stumbled from the floor to his feet with a shameful expression.
Oh, Oliver, you fucked up big this time.
When I was young, I was like you. The strength of my youth was my only pride. It would merely be a pain to learn any more. But one day, I learned my limitations. Because of the powerlessness caused by pride. Sorry about that. Because of the powerlessness caused by pride, my strength didn't measure up. And my little sister cried because of me. Men are such foolish animals. Are they pitiable creatures who cannot even rouse themselves until they make fragile, frail girls cry? You should cool your head. If you need my advice, then let me know whenever...
Bang! Oliver kicked the concrete wall so hard it looked as his foot would plunge deep into it. Without moving from that position, he groaned in a voice that sounded like it was being forced out.
Me.
What was that?
Tell me what's so bad about my kick, damn it! Please tell me, Meiju-sama. If you say that. Tell me, Meiju-san!
Oliver's back shook slightly. Oh, now it's time for his training arc. He had cried out from the bottom of his soul.
This is all I have. I can't do any clever stunts like Charles and Nina. This is all I can do. If even that one thing can't help Zel, I couldn't bear it. Damn it. Damn it! Because I'm a fool. I made Zel cry when she's falling apart from worrying for Dad all the time. Beat me into shape. If I fall apart and slump over, that means that was the best I'm capable of. Oh, youth. Very well. I will beat you into shape.
Dang. Zel and Xiaolan was stealthily watching this from the corridor. Then, when Oliver roused himself, they let out a quiet cheer. Well said, Oliver. Good going. Oh my god. Fake tears. Oh, Cherubi, you're good. You couldn't be a successful assassin without learning to fake things once in a while. We? Okay, now let's leave the rest to Meiju-san. Now I've got to give it my all. Everyone was training hard to fulfill their roles for the plan. Even Zel had a role. Now it's time for Zel to start her training. Alright. The arranged time was drawing near. Xiaolan was an observer. She had to follow Zel around. However, she had no idea where Zel would be training or what she would be doing. Everyone said they thought I could do it. But I'm really uneasy. What are they making you do? I'm not confident at all. Maybe I just got a bit too excited when they all spurred me on. The two of them left the city. The sun shone brightly, baking the asphalt. It was probably just about noon. The girl's destination was Club Primavera. I know it. Yep. Zel is going to be disguised as a lady of the evening, isn't she? Is she going to do training with Meryl? Oh my god. During the daytime, behind-the-scenes work such as cleaning and restocking took place in Club Primavera. For a club of ladies of the evening, daytime was bedtime. Long time no see, Zel. It's been far too long. Madame Rose, sorry I almost tried to kill you. You know the circumstances. Oh god, why did I start with that? Don't worry about it anymore. Oh, water under the bridge. Whoosh. More importantly, I'm glad. So now you know what you need to do. Madame Rose.
Don't get any closer. I haven't decided to trust you, okay?
Stop that, Wing-kun. She's my friend. Boss. I apologize for the trouble I've caused.
I'm not your boss. Skit.
Lane made a curt gesture for her to go away. even though if he still considered Zel to be a hitman, letting her go away wouldn't do much to protect Rose. Rose understood this pubescent boy part of him and giggled. Zel belatedly realized that yes, this was the guy Oliver was trying to imitate, and giggled too. My boyfriend is such a dumbass sometimes, but he is too adorable. And you're Xiaolan-chan from Meiju-san's group. And she's saying something in Chinese. She bowed in Japanese fashion, but she was exactly like an unsociable and suspicious cat.
Hold up there. You stay away too, minion of the GDS.
Stop that, Wayne-kun! She's Meiju-san's guest, and Meiju-san is on our side, and we would have failed a long time ago if Meiju hadn't helped us out. You can go over there.
Yes, ma'am. Frickin', she's schmoozing with assassins. Ooh, I never get to do nothing for Rose. Why is it never me? Leo left, so I should be the main character.
After watching Wayne leave grumpily, Zel and Rose broke out laughing together this time. At that moment, the grand piano in the main hall stage began making soft sounds. Oh, it was a formal greeting, she said. That person is... She's the one who taught me how to sing. She used to be a real teacher, so she was really good at it. Is it Amanda? Oh, wow, yes, yes! Miss Amanda, a long time no see.
I've heard all about it. I thought there was something more to this kid's story, but it sounds like you've had it rough, buddy. How to Ruby, the female Japanese killer who works secretly in Chinatown. Caleb and Miguel know your name too.
I'm ashamed.
Oh, not at all. Caleb thanked you. You know Zhang, that hitman from Bong, whom you finished off once? Caleb wanted him so much he put out a reward. So I'm willing to call it even in exchange for the teaching fees from this.
Thank you very much.
You sang well at that Shiva restaurant. You have talent. However, if you want to become good enough to fool people, you'll be prepared to practice till you cough up blood.
Amanda sounds strict, but she teaches really well. Good luck, Zel. Yes, ma'am. Amanda-san, I look forward to learning from you.
Wait until after you've had a lesson before you say that. So, would you mind letting me hear your voice for a bit?
Her personal lesson with Amanda began. Xiaolan was given soft drinks and snacks, but she wouldn't eat a bite, perhaps because they were being offered by enemies. None of it's poisoned, so feel free to dig in.
Whoa-ba.
Oh, now it's Stella speaking Chinese. Stella just said what Rose said. Okay, I see. Okay. Stella said,
none of it's poison, so feel free to dig in.
Xiaolong refused in a prickly manner. Rose giggled at her over-seriousness. You're adorable, Xiaolong. Xiaolong herself was now completely lost. First pickpocketing training, then slingshot training, then martial arts training. That much she could still understand, but why singing training? She finally understood and clapped her hands. This looks like we're doing the friggin' training arc first before the big heist. I didn't expect this. Looks like I'm gonna have to change the title of the stream. I see, so that's what it is. Oh, I see, so that's what it is. This would be necessary for getting over one of what they called 3 hurdles. The 3rd hurdle. How to sneak into a members-only high-class restaurant. That restaurant offered live performances from guest musicians. Since the 4 wandering dogs were good at musical instruments, and Zel in particular had a beautiful singing voice, they had grown famous in the old downtown districts. I see, so that's what it is. However, Wang's castle was still a high-class restaurant. They would need considerable qualifications. It was a bit hard to imagine that a female singer from the old downtown districts and her band would be invited to a place like that. Oh my god, that would be so amazing. They're gonna sneak in as the band. We're the Wandering Dogs, and we're here to blow your minds. A 1, a 1, a 2, and 1, 2, 3. And like they just start doing their song.
What the what? Screen time! Still, I'm not sure if this is interesting or insane. That is one crazy plan you thought up.
If it goes neatly, it'd be perfect. But will it really run smoothly? I think so. I think the odds are much better than starting a feud with the Caleb family with only 7 people. And since we're not explaining it out loud during this part, there's much better chance of succeeding.
Well, that might be true.
Now that you mention it, I heard there's going to be a feud between us and the GDS. Is that true?
Oh, yeah! I heard it from Claudia, too. Sounds like the businessmen are abandoning Primavera and plan to team up with the GDS.
Lately, I've been thinking about what Primavera's role should be. It's to protect our countrymen from enemies, right?
I'd prefer you made it cool and say it's to guide our countrymen, or something, or whatever.
At first, it was like what Stella said, to protect our countrymen from enemies. They rose up against the violence of the Caleb family, protecting the city folk. The city folk welcomed this and supported Primavera. After that, our goal became what Meryl said, to guide our countrymen. They brought up special offers windows, got rid of the unfair exploitation, and raised wages for low-level laborers. The city folk welcomed this and supported Primavera. Next, they tried to guide our countrymen so that they could regain a little Japanese lifestyle and culture. But they didn't support us. Well, that's not true. You just got undercut by Wang. A lot of people understood.
Well, I guess that's just what it's like for poor people. Thanks for protecting us. Thanks for giving us more money. Now help us to regain our culture. Huh? Okay.
We want you to buy real soy sauce even though it's expensive. Quit joking around. Die.
All of us Japanese are poor. Those poor people are only grateful for two things.
For protecting them. For giving them things. Only those two. Just like babies. If so, then I've been mistaken. It might be a little harsh, but with the war and the disaster wiping the slate clean, the Japanese are the same as babies. To protect a baby and give him milk all the time is a parent's responsibility. It's affection. Making them learn a lot of things is also affection. But if you force it on a baby without considering their age and ability, it's no different than abuse. No matter how necessary a thing might be, humans can't learn it until they reach a suitable age. If a baby can't even crawl, then it's too soon to start multiplication or handwriting or piano lessons. If you force that on them, then it's neither affection nor teaching anymore. Yeah, there's a lot of venom in this conversation for sure, Princess of Balance. It's just egoism. There's supposed to be a proper age for learning things. I must have been wrong for forcing that on the Japanese, who'd just been dragged back to square one 2 to 3 years earlier when they lost the war.
Rose.
If Rose had a sin, then it may have been she over-glorified the Japanese race, yeah. Her father, a foreigner, felt a deep yearning for Japan, which was a foreign country for him. That may have caused him to over-glorify it at times. It wouldn't have been strange if young Rose had soaked that in unknowingly over time. Tokyo, the capital of Japan, was once called Edo. It was a prominent large city on a worldwide scale. In that place, large numbers of people lived their lives by helping each other. And that was the sign of the Japanese spirit of cooperation. It was said. However, who knows if it was really a spirit of cooperation driven by neighborly love. While Edo was a massive city, it was also extremely overcrowded. Neighborly relations were complicated and deep. And yet you couldn't move to a new house whenever you liked, like you can today. It was like having a class breakup in the first grade of elementary school that continued into middle school, high school, college, and beyond, maintaining the same community until you died. If you became unpopular or the bullied kid, you sometimes wouldn't get out of that pit for the rest of your life. Yeah, that's how ancient societies in general worked. Maybe that environment's why people strove for a mutually supportive community, forming pseudo-family ties and guaranteed equal status for each other. It was an era without scientific investigations. If a terrible crime occurred and there was no evidence, you might be treated as a culprit simply because you were suspicious. When that happened, people were isolated and disliked within the community, probably served as convenient sacrifices, scapegoats, and thus began Higurashi. In fact, among the famous crimes with false accusations, the early Showa period, many resulted in isolated members of the community being sacrificed for various reasons. Yeah. Pretty much Princess of Balance. In other words, in the Edo era, a spirit of cooperation within your community was necessary for one's own protection. I'm a 90s kid, Princess of Balance. You have to understand that we were raised to be optimistic. And ever since, we grew up, we have been nothing but, as a generation, but beaten down out of that worldview. Yeah, like, ever since we came of age in the world. Y'all, Zoomers, didn't have that stark difference between the way the world was when you were growing up and when you came of age. So yeah, it's hard for us in that respect. Or to put it another way, it wasn't necessarily true that the spirit of cooperation beginning in that era was caused by feelings of friendship. It may be that the Japanese don't really have a spirit of cooperation. If so, then what I'm doing is definitely sheep talk. An idealistic daydream from an optimistic adolescent girl. If so, then I have to wake up quickly. I have to see reality quickly. What is it our countrymen need right now? Safety and money. Just those two things. And I'll go back to the basics. It might be best to concentrate on those two things alone. This whole time, Zel's lesson with Amanda had been continuing on the stage in the hall. Zel's voice definitely seemed to hold a talent that could shine like a diamond, if polished. Rose watched with distant eyes. Those kids are the next generation of the Japanese. In other words, they're our children. What should we protect? What should we leave behind? What should we pass down to make those kids happiest?
I don't know about stuff like that. What's needed in an era is up to the people of that era to decide. Even if we pass something down to them with our sense of value, who knows they'll be happy with it. We can't become boomers ourselves.
If it has to be something, then I'd say it's the right to choose for themselves. Wow, that is very wise, Stella. Huh? Rose turned around with a truly surprised look on her face. Stella didn't think she'd said something particularly important. Now that is the most important thing. Absolutely, Stella. She just chimed in to fit the flow of the conversation. Stella, what did you just say? Sorry. I was just talking at random. No, that was not random! Say it again! What did you just say? I was just talking about what it is our children in the future want. I said it's for them to decide, not us. They have a right to decide what it is they truly want, or something. Even Stella didn't really know what she was saying anymore. However, Rose looked at her as though she'd found something incredibly important.
Still, I get that. When I was a kid, the clothes my parents got me were always so uncool. I was supposed to make them let me choose my own clothes at least.
I hear you. That sort of thing did happen, didn't it? Thank you, Stella, Meryl. I was a little confused. Now I finally know the direction to move in. I just now thought that my own selfish ideals were like trying to force clothes I like on my children. A little bit, yeah. I'm glad Rose is deciding to pull back. Because she was acting a bit like there's a thin but definitely real line between patriotism and nationalism. And earlier I was kind of worried because Rose was kind of skirting that a bit, but she's definitely pulling back now, and I really like this. I really like this part here. Ideals forced upon you by someone else aren't worth crap. I'm done. Done with those immature ideals. Thanks, you two. I won't be lost anymore. As I listened to this tale, I remembered a story I heard from my mother. We in the younger generation don't know much about Madame Rose. She's not on the net, and you won't find her name mentioned in wikis. However, my mother's generation had heard from their parents. They had heard Madame Rose's name. According to my mother, many people who knew Tokyo during that time knew of Madame Rose as well. However, they avoided talking about it. What happened? Seriously, what happened at the end? Seriously, it sounds like something really bad happened to her. In fact, when I asked my father about Madame Rose, he walked away looking upset and refused to talk to me. Dang. Seriously, what happened to her? Why? Madame Rose was the savior of her Japanese countrymen. She'd been praised as such since the formation of Primavera. But her reputation had eventually changed. The soy sauce war. The war in which Madame Rose tried to regain Japanese pride and culture, only to be quote-unquote betrayed by her countrymen. That was when Primavera slowly began to change its focus. I'm sorry to Madame Jean, who's been telling me this story at such great length. But in fact, I've already heard more or less how this long tale ends. Well, don't spoil it for me! In the year 1948, Primavera withdrew its position of prioritizing mutual aid between countrymen. Primavera, which had been viewed as a group of heroes by the city folk, ended up degrading into a violent organization that was even called a revival of the Caleb family. Really? What happened? My mother told me that the city folk were extremely disappointed and shocked by the fall of Madame Rose, who was once called their savior. She wasn't called a villain, but wasn't called a savior either. The people chose not to have an opinion about her, historically speaking. Damn. They basically treated her like Game of Thrones after season 8. Speaking Madame Rose's name became taboo, and everyone refused to speak of her. Then in 1950, 2 years after the world of this tale, a single girl rose up to defeat Primavera? What? So Rose becomes the final boss? Oh shit. Gained the support of the city folk and brought down Madame Rose. That girl was Amakawa June or Madame G. What? Dang. Diggity dang da dang. I don't know, Guppy Force. If I had to choose between growing up in with the youth of the 90s and growing up with the youth of today, I think I would have definitely rather grown up with the youth of today. That's but I definitely wouldn't have chosen up to grow up in the environment of today, because I would have been totally destroyed by social media, like, and not in like, I don't know, just like, I had a really bad time in school. And what I mean by that is that social media would have just magnified it to a horrible point beyond recognition. So, but I do think that people and like are the people, the youth of today are much nicer and more understanding than they were in the 90s. I don't know what this person wants to leave behind about Madame Rose. Holy shit, that was a big shock. So Rose is gonna become like the bad guy or something? Whoa. I thought maybe I was selected as a fellow Japanese person from their future. Maybe I'm being asked to give my opinion of Madame Rose. In that case, what is my opinion of Madame Rose now? It's probably too early to draw conclusions. We're like a little over halfway through the story. Not until Madame Jean gets to the part where she defeats Madame Rose by her own hand. If I was forced to give my opinion at this point, then I might say that she was a sad idealist who was born too soon. Madame Rose was wounded in the soy sauce war and completely lost faith in her fellow countrymen. If that incident hadn't occurred, I'm sure she wouldn't have stayed down the wrong path. Dang, what happened to Rose? Holy shit. That is insane. You mean she pulled a Caleb, basically, Princess of Balance. I'm thinking that too. I am thinking that Jean might be the descendant of Rose and Leo. Hall of a luxury hotel in City 22 was filled with the camera flashes of many Chinese journalists. The flashes were directed at two people, a high official from the Chinese occupying forces and a suited man who appeared to be American, slightly past middle age. When the pictures of their handshake were all taken, they sat down on sofas, chatting through interpreters. The high official was Major General Zhao, head of the GHQ's Department for the Strategic Promotion of Culture and Arts. Or DSPCA. Let's see. The name of that department may be long, but put simply, it dealt with culture for the masses, such as movies, music, and plays. In this pre-internet age, newspapers, magazines, movies, and music were extremely important as a means of propaganda for the masses. America and China raced each other to build and screen propaganda movies for free. In this era, Japanese children who had no leisure activities often visited propaganda theaters of that sort. Oh, it's Joe. Okay, I'm sorry, I got before us. Thanks. That area was America's specialty, but China was actively moving into it so that they wouldn't get left behind. This chatting American was a movie director. Director Kazan, what are your thoughts after staying in Japan?
To be honest, I was quite surprised. I heard Tokyo sustained incredible damage during the 1944 disaster. But look how far it's been rebuilt now.
Can we get your thoughts on the restoration of the Chinese military areas in particular? Nearly all the reports were Chinese. It was a natural question. America and China were putting their names on the line, racing to rebuild Japan. They wanted more than anything for an American director to praise the reconstruction brought about by China.
I was able to see several Chinese military district cities as well. They all had wonderful modern cityscapes.
Okay, Director Kazan gives high praise to the reconstruction in Chinese districts. What do you think about the China-America Friendship Film Festival? Or CAF?
It was a wonderful cultural experience. I think it would be wonderful if such an experience led to peace between two countries, if not the world. Also, I'd like my thanks for Mr. Zhou for proposing such a wonderful experience.
They were covered with relentless flashes again. And the reporters showered them with questions once more. As they did, Director Kazan clapped his hands as though he just remembered something.
Oh, yes. As for things that left an impression, I've got one for you. It was a night when I wanted to be alone. I went out for a walk and stumbled upon a certain bar. At first, I just thought it was a strangely energetic place. I'll never forget the songstress I met there.
Songstress? Who was it? Which bar?
Well, I was walking about at random, so I can't remember where the bar was. Still, I'll never forget that girl's voice. It shocked me. I think I'll bump into such an angelic voice from my own country. The director's told me this story several times, and said he'd like to meet that girl again.
Is it Zel?
If possible, I'd like to see her once more before leaving Japan. But I just can't remember where that bar was.
This seems like a Cinderella type thing here. Even though Zel is named after Rapunzel.
When I heard about this, it got me thinking. Just a perfect romantic movie-like episode for a director to bump into.
Behind the meeting hall stood Meiju and Xiaolan.
I see. So you could use that.
It's common for Wang Yuanhong's restaurant to host guests who have been big in the news lately.
Oh, I see. And it's gonna be Zel.
As a man fond of new things, he can't take his eyes off newcomers who have broken into the public scene.
This had been a farce set up by Meiju. A strategy to give some weight to the Wandering Dog's musical activities by ending them referenced by a famous movie director visiting Japan. And the director was appearing alongside a GHQ big shot. The Chinese reporters would probably take a hint and push this energetically.
I have found the angel you fell for at first sight. Oh my god. Really? I can't believe it.
Of course, it was all a farce. Neither of them had gone into the sort of downtown pub that the Wandering Dogs performed in, much less met with Zel. Oh my god, wow. It really is all fake. Although it makes sense, because it would be an incredible coincidence if it was real. The Major General, after motioning for everyone to welcome them with applause, invited the Wandering Dogs forward, with Zel at the head. The reporters stood one after another, showering them with applause and camera flashes. Of course, the standing ovation was also part of the setup. The normal reporters, who got caught up in this farce, probably thought this incredibly huge newcomer had appeared.
Niju-sama, isn't this a little over the top?
This much is just fine. It's Major General Zhou's specialty.
Oh, how incredible! To think I get to meet you again!
It's an honor to meet you, the Director Kazan.
I'll never forget the night I heard you sing. This is a miracle.
Everyone allow me to introduce them. This is the roaming band, the Wandering Cats. They were all orphans who lost their relatives in the war and the disaster. However, they gathered together amidst the rubble, formed bonds of friendship by overcoming many trials, and formed a four-man group.
So you went through all that. Incredible. Now I see how we were able to put so much spirit into our music, or singing. War, disaster. I can imagine how much you Japanese boys and girls must be suffering in present Japan. You know, I know this guy in America called Walt Disney. If he ever makes a TV channel, I will be the first to tell him about your story.
Oh my god! Oh my god! My own Disney Channel sitcom!
Don't oversell it, Zel.
It's true that we suffered from misfortune many times. However, the true misfortune is when you let the misery get into your heart and you lose the ability to find happiness. We use music to find a tiny ray of light peeking through the clouds of misfortune. We keep moving towards that light. We believe that we'll be able to find happiness eventually if we keep walking forward. Now, do you tell Mr. Disney about that? He can put it in the show. I want to be played by Ashley Tisdale. Zel's splendid Chinese speech earned big rounds of applause from the reporters. The director clapped unrestrainedly too, then put a hand on Zel's shoulder and posed as though recommending her talent.
A new singer appears with high praise from the Director Kazan.
That would probably be plastered across all the papers tonight. Director Kazan was a Greek born in 1909 in Istanbul, not Constantinople, of the Ottoman Empire. However, in 1912, the First Balkan War broke out. The Balkan League, which included his fatherland Greece, declared war against the Ottoman Empire. At that instant, he and his family in Istanbul became members of an enemy nation. His family escaped from Istanbul and immigrated to America. They would remain settled there. The shock of his familiar hometown suddenly becoming enemy territory probably had a considerable effect on young Kazan. It isn't certain whether that had a noticeable impact on his later works, but the possibility can't be denied. Later on, he moved into the realm of theater and then movies, before making his Hollywood debut in 1944 with A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Oh, isn't that a real thing? I think that's a real movie. Then in 1947, he released the much commented on and controversial Gentleman's Agreement. This work was well praised, receiving the awards for Best Picture, Directing, and Supporting Actress in the 20th Academy Awards. The man's name was Elia Kazan. I think this is a real person. Director Elia Kazan, who would later make East of Eden, a movie which would be in the spotlight for having James Dean's first leading role.
How has life in Japan been for you all? Is the restoration by the occupying forces helping to bring back the Japanese lifestyle? The misfortune of the war is over now. We'll do all we can to save our neighbors.
Thank you very much for your reassuring words. He is a real person, wow. Kazan certainly hadn't decided to join in on this farce because money had changed hands. He was Jewish himself. In that era, they had it rough, even in America, which is a freaking understatement. Because of that, he was more sensitive than anyone regarding the taboo of racial discrimination, and he took it seriously. But it's interesting that he would be so friendly with the Japanese about that, considering whose side they were on in the war. Even the Academy Award-winning Gentleman's Agreement took up the issue of discrimination against Jews. A certain writer pretended to be Jewish to gather materials for an article. As soon as he did, the people in the city changed suddenly. All sorts of people began silently rejecting the main character who was claiming to be Jewish. It was a work that fiercely attacked the unwritten law, that gentleman's agreement of racism. Oh yeah, but he's talking about the Japanese internment, which was, ugh. I see. Because that's the perspective he's coming from. Yeah, it's a historical person, Guppy Forrest. That's how he got away with it. Like, if you've ever played The Great Ace Attorney, like, Soseki Natsume, who is a very famous Japanese writer, is like a supporting character in that. I see. He's viewing it through the lens of the Japanese internment, rather than what the Japanese did and the Japanese nationals did in during the war. I see. That makes sense. Because he was that sort of person, he was probably very understanding of how Japanese Americans suffered in wartime America. After the outbreak of the Pacific War, Americans of Japanese descent became members of an enemy nation overnight. That was similar to his own past. It wouldn't be odd at all if he sympathized with people of Japanese descent who had their assets confiscated and who were thrown into concentration camps. I'm glad that wasn't sugar-coated. For all these reasons, one could probably say it was natural for him to sympathize with Japanese people in this era. When he was told Japanese orphans had formed a band and are making a name for themselves downtown, so could you please support them? Kazan couldn't refuse.
Sadly, racism is still prominent in the world. People who deny this are simply ignoring the silent gentleman's agreement.
Dang. statements that you wish weren't still relevant.
Even in my America, Japanese people were the pitiable targets of discrimination. It's a disgrace for a civilized nation.
Should we understand the offense within gentleman's agreement to be a real problem in America rather than fiction?
That is correct. As an American, I found it necessary to protest those shameful crimes against humanity.
My. Unfortunately, he's getting quite passionate about this. Alongside the director speaking fervently about the problem of racial discrimination, the Major General was chuckling. He may have been trying to address the issue of racism, but the Chinese reporters would probably make an article about how the American director decries America as racist country. The purpose of the press conference wasn't just to give Zel and the others a famous director's seal of approval. This was part of the propaganda war waged by the Chinese military's Department for Strategic Culture and the Art. This incident would cause great trouble for Elliot Kazan later on, because of his relationship with a Chinese military official in the articles from this time. In addition to his history as a former communist. Oh God, would he get McCarthy'd? Oh God. Oh, he did get McCarthy'd. Ah, fucking hell. He was suspected of being a communist by the House Committee on Un-American Activities in 1952. This was right during the middle of the Red Scare. America was strengthening its opposition to the communist camp and overwhelmed with the attempts at social eradication of its sympathizers. Several movie makers had already been branded as communists and expelled from the world of film production. He probably wanted to remain a filmmaker. Oh, God. As part of a plea bargain to remove suspicion from himself, Kazan sold out 11 other filmmakers by condemning them as communists. Damn, what a shitty situation. The betrayal of this man who was loved as the socially aware and sensible filmmaker who created Gentleman's Agreement left filmmakers deeply disappointed. That case would remain as a blot on his history for the rest of his life. Even in 1998, when he was approaching his final years, that blot hadn't disappeared. In that year, during the ceremony in which he earned an honorary Academy Award, not only was the applause sparse, but there was even demonstrations opposing him being granted the award. Was he a filmmaker worthy of respect or not? We can only leave his appraisal to the filmmakers who came after him. Dang. However, it would probably be hard to evaluate him unless you understand the everyday racism that covered the world at that time. Because he knew racism more than anyone and feared it more than anyone. He must have feared the brand of communist in America at that time more than anyone.
In that case, let's hear the angelic singing once more, before the director leaves Japan tomorrow. Let's have the gentlemen of the press join in and enjoy the musical world of the Wandering Cats.
If there's one thing we know about Ryukishi, from Higurashi and this, he loves history. He must be a major history buff. After receiving an introduction like that, there's nothing else to worry about. From the start, Oliver, Charles, Anita's skill with instruments, as well as Zel's singing had been splendid. Good night, Mystery Theater. The reporters stood up even before the hired applauders and greeted the performers with a massive standing ovation. Starting that night, the local papers from the cities around City 22 started talking about the four all the time. The angelic voice amidst the war orphans. Band of boys and girls highly praised by director Kazan. Of course, it was also distributed in the Japanese versions, making the only topic of conversation among the Japanese of Tokyo for a while. With this, everything was ready. There were the Wandering Cats, the big new band of boys and girls praised by director Kazan and recommended by Major General Zhao. They were more than popular enough to be asked as guests to Wang's restaurant. Now, I'm going to change the title of this stream because we're just starting the heist now. Okay, I didn't realize there would be so much training and preparation. Okay, things are starting. I'm going to save right here. Yeah, let me change the title of the stream. Once again, I am one episode too early with my titles. Here we go. What should I try it? There we go. That's a more appropriate title. Okay. Well, I'd like to thank all of you for joining me for Rose Guns Days. Next time is when we begin the heist in earnest. I would have called it that if it was valid, but the training was much more of the episode. And so, alright, I can't wait. Do any of you know approximately how much is left in chapter 6? I imagine just the heist itself, which I'm gonna probably try to get through next stream. And leave the final chapter 7 should be the final chapter of this story for the last few streams. So yeah, it's gonna overlap with Tales of Arise a little bit, which is unfortunate because I had hoped to finish this arc before that, but it looks like it's gonna overlap a little bit by one chapter. Dangity dang dang. Okay, you guys. So Tuesday, some more Remember 11, and Thursday, we'll get to the heist itself. Probably one stream's worth. I figured that out, Apparition. Okay. And I wonder how many streams would Chapter 7 be. Alright, you guys. So until then, I will say, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night. You're all the sweetest of hearts. See ya.